joining us today. If you're new here, I'm Lindy. I am a writer, tech content strategist, and MFA grad. I talk about all things bringing your creative work to life, writing, and books. Today I want to talk about something that I think could be the key to helping you get your creative project, whether that's a book or writing a collection of essays or just starting to write. I think that this could be the key to helping you actually get that done this year instead of just thinking about it. And that is strategies, specifically a creative strategy that is personalized to you and your goals and your ways of working. First, I want to emphasize that strategy is different than having a plan. A plan can be a part of a strategy, but it's kind of the later stage of a strategy. The strategy is more of the high-level, overarching thought behind your plan that speaks to the why and the what, while a plan is more of a detailed roadmap that speaks to the how. Strategy is a part of the process that I think gets skipped, and I think it is why a lot of goals are left unmet and ideas are left as ideas, because the strategy ultimately helps you answer the questions about what specifically you are trying to achieve, why it matters to you and why you think it might matter to other people, why it's important ultimately to create the thing, and what the priorities and areas of focus will be. And then a plan, of course, gets into specifically how. This is a process that I use a lot, just in a different way in my corporate tech role, but I think that the same principles apply to almost anything that you're trying to get done. We're just going to apply it to creativity and your creative projects, specifically writing today. And if you want kind of a high-level example before I get into more of the details, when I was thinking about writing my book, I created an outline with deadlines for myself, right? And had a specific writing process that I brought to the table every day. That was my plan. And I had that plan in place for a really long time. And it wasn't until last year when I thought, I get projects at work done really efficiently and well. So why is it taking me so long to write my book? I started thinking about that and I decided to apply the same sort of high-level thinking and process that I do to those work writing projects to my creative writing. And last year I finished my first draft, which had taken me years and years of just throwing things at the wall and trying to make it happen to do. So that was the unlock for me, and I think it could be for you too. Like I said, I have my plan, my outline, my deadlines in place. I had the plan locked. What was missing was taking time to sit down and address the other questions that I just mentioned. What ultimately is it that I'm trying to achieve? Before I was thinking, I want to write and publish a book. It needed to be broken down a little more than that of, I need to finish a first draft first and then revise that first draft and then move forward from there. So what specifically are we trying to achieve? Then I had to think about, why does this matter? How is it different from other things that I've read? Why does it need to be said? What is my motivation behind this ultimately? And it needs to be deeper than just, I want to publish a book. What is the purpose for this book and what I am working on now? Once I had spent some time with that and really creating a strategy, which I will get into in more detail in a minute, it just really set a nice foundation that made it possible for me to actually act on my plan and get the thing done. Beyond my one example, there are 3 things that make a strategy really key and critical to getting any project done, especially a creative project. It gives you clarity and focus, consistency, and efficiency. Writing it down and actually creating the strategy helps you make sure that none of your efforts are wasted. Everything is aligning to what matters most to you and your underlying why. Your messaging and priorities are cohesive, and just ultimately provides a clear line from your ideation to execution to completion. I would recommend getting a huge piece of paper. I actually took some classes from Courtney Mom on ideation and nonfiction writing. She suggested buying an enormous, art-sized notebook of paper, and I was kind of skeptical at first because I don't usually like writing things down on paper anyway, let alone investing in a huge, enormous notebook of paper. But I did it because she kept bringing it up in all of her classes, and it's been amazing for my process. So I recommend getting a huge piece of paper if you can, and actually writing it down on paper instead of on your computer. And then when I'm done and have something solid in place, then I transfer it to my computer where I can access it and reference it more easily. Okay, so first, I want you to reflect on what the main objective is. Is it that you want to write a book? Do you want to start a blog? Do you want to start learning to write? Do you want to write an essay, a collection of short stories? Just brainstorm on it if you need to. A lot of creatives, like myself, we have a lot of things we want to do. So choose one to focus on for this. Next, and this might get some eye rolls because in the creative world, it's not always seemed cool or whatever to think about your target audience from the start. People talk about, creating for yourself first. And I do believe in that to a degree, but also think about who you might want to share this work with because it can help you in the development process. Thinking about who you might want to share it with in the future can be helpful from a strategic perspective. If it is something that you want to share in the future, if this is something you never want to share with anyone ever online or otherwise, it's just for you, then yes, skip this. But if you want to share it ever, then I highly suggest thinking about this at least a little bit in the beginning. It's part of the strategy and it's one of the most missteps. And think really specifically about who this person might be. Who are you creating for? Maybe it's a past version of yourself, even. That's the case for a lot of writers. They're trying to say something that they didn't see represented in other work that they encountered. Just have an idea of who the person is that you think that this art might reach and help or inspire or just be beautiful for. Think thoughtfully about who they are. What are they interested in? Why should they care about this? Why would they care about this? And then that ties into why do you care about this too, right? Which is also an important question to answer. When you're thinking about why would they care? Why do you care? Beyond interests and demographics, I think their struggles and desires, your struggles and desires. Think about those two things and free write on it, brainstorm on it until you come to something specific and clear. That can be an underlying motivator for you in creating this work. This ties into number 3. Think about the underlying why some more. You were in the last step, you were thinking more about future audience. Now make this specific to you. Even if it's just rewriting what you had in the last section, it's just good to be clear on this. It's the main takeaway, idea, or feeling that you want your work to invoke. Most art has multiple, but a lot of times for the artist, there is one foundational thing. Rewrite, brainstorm on that until you come to a clear understanding of what that is for you and write that down. Point number 4, I want you to think about your competitive edge or unique value. We all have something different that we can bring to the table. Even if you're doing something in your art, your writing that has been done before, you have a unique perspective just based on who you are that you can bring to the work. And I want you to identify that. What is your style? What are the themes you are exploring? And what about you and your unique experience can you bring to that? For me, for example, I write about my family history and women in my family and generational experiences. That's been done before a lot. My unique angle and the unique perspective that I bring to it is I was raised Mormon. I'm a 5th generation Mormon, but I am also someone who has left the church and deconstructed. So that's the unique angle that I bring that I haven't seen represented a lot in writing. And it doesn't have to be something about where you come from specifically. It can be your interests. There's a memoir, for example, that I really love called The Fact of a Body. And it's kind of true crime meets someone exploring their own experiences with similar crime. And it blends the two. Unique perspective is that this person worked on a cold case and then was able to reflect on her own experiences through that particular lens. So there are a lot of ways this could be approached, and I think that this one deserves some good time brainstorming on that piece of paper. Just write down a lot of things that you think could be your market edge, your unique value, and you'll come to something. We all have something that gives us a unique perspective in life that we can bring to our art. Now, step 5 in creating your personal creative strategy is thinking about the measurement metrics, how you are going to gauge your success. And this gets more granular again in the planning process. This is kind of high level, but I think it's important in the phase of creating your strategy to be really clear about what it is that's going to define your progress and feeling like you are moving forward in the project from a high level. And it helps you stay motivated. For me, with writing specifically, it is deadlines and milestones. So I created a whole Excel spreadsheet and I had my entire book broken down into sections and due dates for each section. Measuring my metrics was seeing if I was hitting those dates or not. They don't have to be hard deadlines either, right? Like I adjusted them occasionally, but just seeing that progress motivated me and helped me stay on track. So have some sort of way of gauging if you are getting the work done, how well and how efficiently, so that you can look at that occasionally throughout the year, make adjustments as needed, and keep yourself moving forward. So I hope those 5 steps were helpful. They were a game changer for me in prioritizing my creative work and getting it done. And I'm really excited about this next year to implement this again. Just to reiterate, wrap up, I think that taking the time to do this along with your yearly goal setting or before can help you have a clear direction, stay motivated and efficient in getting your work done. It creates a means to sustainably grow your practice. I think it enhances creativity too, right? Because sometimes we think about creativity as like no constraints, but I think constraints can be helpful. They help us hone in our focus and make sure that our creative work is purposeful and not chaotic. So again, I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have questions in the comments or want something clarified. I'm happy to do that. I hope that 2025 is the year that you bring your ideas to life. Thanks for being here, and until next time.